Hi, everybody. Benita here with the February forecast. Now, before I begin, I just want to make everybody aware. Sorry, the lighting's going to be a little weird here because it's gotten darker, so I'm kind of getting it coming down from above. Um, I once again have a clone out there soliciting people, trying to become their friends, people who are being solicited saying, I want to do a private reading for you. It's not me. I don't do that. You'll never see me try to send you a friend request and get you to do a reading for me. It's not my style. So if you see somebody using my name, trying to send a friend request to you or trying to give you a private reading, just know it's a clone. It's unfortunate, but it's not me. And just wanting you to know, because a lot of times when I do my forecast, that's when they come on and start hitting up everybody that happens to be on here. And the same thing happens when I'm doing my free mini readings, which I will find time to do this Sunday, if not tomorrow. So just watch for me to post that I'm coming on to do that. I'm just going to have to see where I can find time. I'm pretty booked up right now, so but I will make time this weekend, as I always do, my best to do so. So that all being said, let's start with the February forecast. And as usual, I'm using my favorite set, the Publishing Goblins Oracle set. This is version 2. So a lot of artists who participated in creating all the die and this lovely mat, which is two-sided, but I find myself using the new side most of the time. I don't know, it just resonates for me. So it's what I do. All right, let's see if I can just toss all these out without having them go everywhere. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is give these a little bit of a roll around in my hand and focus on what we're creating here, which is an opening to receive whatever information we need for February. And some do go on the floor, and that's okay. They weren't supposed to be part of the spread. Interestingly enough, we don't have any sitting right in the core this time. So we don't have that kind of influence going on. And we do have a card, the Bearer of Books, that's going to be part of this as well. So the first thing we want to do is look for the, let's see. Okay, the Chaos die isn't here. It wandered off. It fell off the table. So we don't have to worry about the Chaos die. But we do always like to look at the Fate die, which, interestingly enough, is off the mat. So we get to ignore it as well. So when that happens, it's just like any die that aren't on the mat, we're just going to disregard. Not part of today's reading. So we're going to go right to the first die, and we're going to see what made its way to the table. It's and if it didn't, it's not meant to be read. So the action die is actually on the mat, and it's under fated. So what we see here is a person wearing a mask. We'll see what that one means for us. And it's called Helm. So it actually, the design of it is a little bit different from the first version. So I quite like it. It's a little more intricate. So this is about our need to weather difficult situations using our armor to protect us. It warns of difficult times, which are always easier to survive if you're prepared for it. So this is about preparing for that. So when it's sitting under fated, it's basically saying there are challenges ahead, and rather than go, woe is me, just recognize it's just part of the path. It's necessary. A lot of times, this is what we call character building phase, where it's unpleasant to go through at the time, but when you come out at the end, you go, yeah, I needed to go through that. Yeah, I learned a lot about myself in the process, so it was necessary. So that's why it's showing up as fated. It's saying you can't avoid these challenges. You just have to step into them and face them. All right. Now, the alchemist die is probably also off the mat. That actually simplifies things. So if some of them have disappeared off the mat, we don't even have to think about them this time. They're just not players in the reading this time. Okay. I love this book because it's color coded, so it's really easy just to get to what you're looking at. All right, so the alley die, let's see, it has found its way to the mat and it's sitting in the present. So what you see are two hands clasping each other here, and it's about community. So when it shows up in a reading, it speaks to the need for being upheld by others, the need to do the same for them. And so it's interesting. We're going to see how it plays in with the other die showing up in the present. But it is saying right now, community is really important for you. It's really important for you to recognize it goes both ways. There's ways you need to be supported by your community. There's ways you need to support them. All right, so that's the alley die. And we have the attentions die, which shows up right next to the community one in the present. All right. So this one is the spotlight one. So you see a little figure standing in a spotlight. And it says it's the honor of being known. It's about being the center of attention. Also to know the people you've never met who don't know you now know of you. So you live in their heads as in some way. So it announces this is the view of things, that many people, often who don't know you, are now looking at you. You're in their conversations. They're thinking about you in some ways that may not even be true. So there's things we can't control. So it's interesting because it's saying that community is involved, the need to both give and receive in community, and people are going to be talking about you. You're going to have some kind of spotlight on you, and you don't have control over how you're being perceived. So let go of trying to control that. It's, nothing more that shows ego than if we try to control how people perceive us. All you can do is walk into the world doing the best you can do and let go of the rest because you don't have control over that in the first place. All right. So now the autumn die, let's see if that one's showing up. And it is. It's showing up in the past. And what we have here is a skull. Okay. So it's about passing. It's the equivalent of the tarot death card, which simply means one cycle ending and a new cycle beginning. So it's showing up in the past to basically say, leave the past in the past. In other words, don't worry about things coming back to haunt you. The more you focus on something from the past, the more you bring it forward. So instead, what you want to do here is just go, all right, I'm going to learn what I can from past experiences, let go of those experiences and carry the learning forward. And so if you do find yourself in a situation in the present that's challenging, that puts you in the spotlight, and somebody calls you on something from the past, one way you might handle it is don't defend, don't explain. If there is something you've done in the past that you need to acknowledge, say, yes, I made a mistake. But this is what I learned from that I'm now applying going forward, rather than beat yourself up. Instead, it's more useful to say, yeah, that was a real learning experience. And I've taken that to heart. And these are the ways I've grown. And these are the changes I'm going to make going forward. So that whatever it is from your past, you're not dragging it forward. You're just taking the learning with you. Turn it into something constructive, not something that weighs you down. Okay, we can skip the chaos die because it went off the table. The elements die. Do we see that one on the table? Yes, we do. So that is sitting under without, and it's near the present. And it's metal. And it says metal is will made manifest. So strength in working and crafting and in use. Be implacable but remain sharp. Um, it tells us of latent potential, something simple that can be made complex and useful. So this is very interesting to me because the way these are sitting, it's saying we've got stuff to do with community. We're going to be in the spotlight in ways we can't control, but we are to derive strength from it. We are to grow from it. And because it's sitting in this ring that says without, it's saying that's a potential that you can derive from this. You can either get pulled into ego and be worried about what people think of you and focus on that and focus on defending your ego, or you can grow from it. So that is an option for you. That is a potential. What skills am I going to hone from this experience? What strengths am I going to derive from it? Remember, we're being told under fated we're going to go through a difficult time, but that's our opportunity to make the most of it by growing as a result of that experience. Okay, we've already looked at the fate die, which is off the bat, so we can ignore it. One of my favorites, the Goblin die, just because it's so darn cute. Okay, so the Goblin die is sitting under beyond. So again, it's something on the outer edges of the present. And in this case, we got this cute little guy, little goblin head, and he's got a little lightning strike on top of his head. So what that's basically saying is it's inspiration. So it speaks of outside forces coming to act before and within you. It's the spark of creation, coming to realize a new way forward in something you were stuck in. So this situation that might challenge you is also going to render some inspiration, or it might be somebody outside of you that offers you inspiration that helps you move forward. So keep that in mind, that even though this is going to be a challenging time, there's strength to be derived from it. There's inspiration and creativity to be derived from it. You know, what do they say? Necessity is the mother of invention. We have to go through challenges in order to grow. So this challenge, you're going to derive so much value from it. Try to welcome it. Try to be open to it. All right. Let's see, influences die. Do we have? Yes, we have that one. Also, with the elements die and the goblin die, it's sitting right there. So these three are very much interconnected. And it says smile. So it's got a little smile face on it. And it's saying smile at its best speaks to people trying their best, even if what they give you is useless. So interesting that when it talks about elements, smile has a pairing mechanic like other dice, where what dice is behind the smile might tell you about who is causing issues, and what dice in front might tell you about the good intentions they give you. So in this case, I think it's saying be patient. Some people are going to try to help. Their suggestions won't always actually be useful, but try to be tactful and compassionate, even if all you're saying is, thank you, I appreciate your input, and I'll take it under advisement. Sometimes that's the best way to handle those things instead of arguing with somebody or telling them that they're wrong. Just stay as neutral as you can about it. I'm just going back to the Goblin die because I want to see how it and the elements one work when there's a triangle like this, because those triangles are important. So it says inspiration, the Goblin die, often shares exactly what it is with the dice above and below it. So it spells out just what we need to understand. So again, I'm not getting anything different from that from what I've already said. So we shan't worry about it. And when metal is found with other dice, it often speaks to things that have been built either literally or figuratively by people. So in this case, what I would take from this is if you're working in some kind of a structure that other people have built, realize there's only so much about it you can change, but you can grow and be inspired by it. And again, it could be something community based. So just keep that in mind. It's not about trying to change things at a basic level as much as it's within this structure. What am I learning that I can apply going forward? All right, the kindness die does show up under foundation, and it is, I just find it here, it says wrapped. So it shows a little bow, and it says wrapped tells you a gift is coming to you. It wrapped can be anything, but it clearly is matters enough to end up in the reading. So look closely. What is the gift you receive, and why must you notice it? So because it's showing up under foundation and it's hovering over the past, that would say to me, especially if you're facing a situation where you go, oh, I've been here before, rather than get angry and say, wow, this isn't changing, I'm really stuck here. Instead, you might go, so what's the gift of the situation? What can I learn from this so I can change how I respond to the situation and start to shift paradigms? If you watched my podcast today on goal setting, I talked about dealing with your naysayers, dealing with those folks that give you the cautionary tales, that tell you shouldn't take chances, and the fact that when you set a goal, it's designed to shake up your paradigm. And it's also going to shake up the people around you who are used to you being a certain way. So, that being said, the gift of the situation can be going, okay, I've seen this before. And maybe in the past I defended and I explained and I wasted a lot of energy. How do I want to handle this differently this time? How do I want to change how I operate so the way I'm interacting with people is different? Sometimes it's not getting attached to the way other people are seeing things. Remember the spotlight one saying people are going to talk about you, but you can't control how they see you. So let go of that. Just go about your day, walking your path, and trusting that, the people that really need to see you will see you. The ones that want to force you into an old box you don't belong in anymore, they might not, and that's okay. If you're walking your path, if you're true to yourself, it might shake up their world. Don't try to make it better for everybody. It's okay if their world gets shaken up. They're either going to work on that or blame you for making their lives more difficult. You can have compassion. You can have compassion for the fact that their life got a little shook up because you're doing something different. It doesn't mean you have to fix it for them. And it doesn't mean you have to make yourself smaller to keep them happy. You're stepping into the spotlight. You're going to be noticed. Just show up as you, unapologetically so. And if people are challenged by that, have compassion, but you don't have to rescue them. It's not your job. Okay. So the next is the longings die. And that one might be off the table as, no, it's not. It is under without up near fated. And this time what we have, it looks like this. And it is movement. So it says movement shouts and screams wherever it lands. The space must keep moving. Nothing here can stay stable. So when I see where it's landed under fated, it's actually encouraging because we got the helm saying difficulties are coming. But to me, the movement one showing up there says, but nothing ever stays like that. Things don't stay stuck. Sometimes when we're dealing with something overwhelming, we will feel like, oh my God, this is terrible, and how will it ever get better? The movement die is saying, remember, life is impermanence. Things are always changing. So even if you're in a difficult, sticky situation this month, it's going to shift. It's going to change. Just focus on what's in front of you and don't tell yourself a bigger story about the situation than it actually calls for. All right. Moving on to the majors die. And it has shown up under future. So what we see here, you can kind of tell it looks like a road with something at the end of it. Makes me curious. I'm intrigued. Okay, and it's called path. So it says, The hill and roads on the path speak to our decisions that lead us on new passages, knowing that each path we do not take will not always return to us as an option. So it says, understand the path not only as begging for you to understand your decisions in the moment are important, but also setting up a path to understand what's at stake and what options there are to take. So we're going to see how this plays out with the other die that fall under the future. But what it suggests is there's going to be a change in the path. In the present, you go through these challenges, you're in the spotlight, people are talking about you, the things you can't control. There's possibilities to derive strength and inspiration from a situation, even with people who maybe say the wrong thing, but they're well-meaning. And from there, you learn so much, it changes how you operate going forward. Remember how I said, we got the helm one saying there's going to be challenges, but you're meant to grow from those challenges. So in the future, you're going to rethink the situation. You're going to take a look at it and you're going to operate differently. Might even be just to not take yourself so seriously. So now we have the Mariner's die, which also shows up in the present. And the one that we have is the compass. So with the compass, it says it speaks to self-determination, setting your goals, and the feeling of being on the right track. So when it lands with other die, it says always keep in mind its trajectory and the aim of it. So in other words, what it's saying here is go into this month with intention. So if you've placed intention, a lot of times people will say, well, I'm looking for happiness. And I say, that's a mistake. Because if something happens that makes you unhappy, you're going to go, well, that failed. That didn't work out for me. But if you focus on a life of meaning, if you've placed intent, then even if things get rough along the way, you can go, well, this is hard, but I know it's leading me in that direction. It's bringing meaning to my life. So when I see these three together, it says you've placed intent, you're creating meaning, and you're going to be doing it in community, and you're going to be in the spotlight, and there may be things about that you wish you could control that you can't. But keep in mind the path you intended yourself to be on. Keep in mind what you're learning so you don't get pulled off track. So say you said, I want to learn about humility. And maybe you're getting a really hard time from somebody and you're wanting to defend and explain. And then you go, oh, that's my ego attachment. Humility. Accept what they're saying. Just go, thank you for the input. I appreciate it. And fight the urge to defend. That's one example. What values are you upholding on your path? What are you wanting to create in yourself? What kind of human do you want to be in a few years? The universe, once you place that intent, it's going to give you all kinds of situations to get you there by pushing you up against your stuff that you need to work on in order to get there. So that's what I would say, keep in mind. If you feel pulled off by what other people are saying or doing or thinking, check in with yourself. What am I working toward? And how much attention and energy do I want to give to these situations? Are they distractions on my path? Or are they designed to trigger me to help me work on my stuff? It's really good to be aware. Am I getting all stuck in, well, they said this and they did that, and what were they thinking? And that's so rude, and they shouldn't treat me like that. That's distraction. It's wasted energy. You're not going to be able to change other people. Or you can say, that brought up some powerful feelings. What are they based on? How far back does that feeling go? When did it first get triggered in me? Oh, that's a core pattern coming up. Cool. I now get to work on that core pattern I might have never seen if that person hadn't triggered it. Thank you. And as you work on it, you're going to shift and change. And the people triggering you will either change along with you or they'll cease to be your reflection. But the whole thing is you've let go of trying to change them or getting hung up on what they have to say. Instead, you just quietly bring it back to your inner work. Keep doing the inner work. Keep evolving. Keep shifting and changing. It's going to take you where you need to go. Okay, that was the Mariner's die. Metamorphosis. Okay, so that one is right on the edge of the map, just near future. And that one shows our little caterpillar. I don't know if you can see that one. It's not super easy to see. And it's about quiet patience. So this is not always a stage of knowing, but at your core, it's you know where this is going. So in other words, it's saying that just as we see in the future, there's a shift on the path. It might be something where you go, I'm not quite sure where the path is going to take me now, but I have a sense that there's some movement in a new direction. I can't be clear on it, but I can be patient, I can trust, and I can see how it unfolds. And as it unfolds, I can start to act on that. Okay, so that's the thing. Patience, don't push the river. Wasn't all done in a day. Rome, that is. So don't push yourself too hard. If you push too hard, you just push everything back down inside. So observe, be gentle, and know that there's forward movement coming. And as you see the opportunities to act on that, then you take them. Okay, the obstacles die. Not sure we have that one on the mat. Might have gone for a little journey. And I would say that it has. Oh, did I miss the majors die? I think I did. I did miss it. Okay. So the majors die. Oh, no, I did get that one. All right, there's one there that I haven't come across yet, I guess. And I'm not seeing the obstacles die on here, so we can skip that one. Relations die. So that one is showing up under fated. This is what it is looking like. And it says alone. So alone is what many people think of when they see the self, but being alone, just yourself. Alone typically means an imposed isolation, kept alone by others who refuse to notice or speak with you in any depth. A person can be alone but surrounded by crowds, so if no one in the crowd knows them or speaks to them. So the way I'm seeing this showing up under fated is this is a path only you can walk. Nobody can take you there. These challenges are going to strengthen you. You're going to grow from them should you choose to do the work. But it's internal work. It's work you have to do on yourself. It's not work anybody can do for you. There's going to be a lot of growth. There's going to be a lot of maturity coming out of this. It's not about asking anybody to rescue you. It's not about playing victim. It's saying, this is the universe showing me what I need to look at to work on myself. And I'm going to embrace that, and I'm going to do that work. And there can be so much growth when you aren't looking for rescuing. You're just going, okay, this is in front of me. It's here for a reason. I'm going to face it. So the next one is the spring die. And that one shows up under future. And you can see it's several birds taking off in flight. And it's called flight. So this one says it most often speaks to freedom, the ability to escape difficult situations or the need for either. And freedom, it can sometimes be talking about trips or travel plans. Sometimes it can also have a more metaphorical meaning, like freedom from an oppressive job. So when it's showing up here, I find it very interesting because in the future, we have this one saying it's a change on the path, and this one's talking about freedom. And in this case, the freedom can be where you've really let go of trying to please other people. You've let go of what they think, and therefore you free up all that energy that used to go to trying to control other people's feelings. Little segue here. I collaborated with other authors on a book called Take Back Your Power. It's all about getting over the people pleasing thing. And I've got print copies coming in the mail. But right now, if you just want to go ahead and read it, you can go to my website. It's an ebook that you can download. It's on at $7.99. And just grab it and start reading. I think you're going to find a lot of really good material in there to help you become that free, to help you move to that place where you've let go. It's like, okay, people can think whatever they want of me. What matters is how I esteem myself. And by the way, if people can trigger you, if their opinion of you can upset you, it's because deep down, you don't feel completely confident. You don't fully love yourself. Or you could listen to that without it affecting you. If you're triggered, that's because your stuff that's already been there before you even dealt with that person has been pulled to the surface. So if you're having a strong opinion, a strong feeling in response to something or somebody, that's a great time to turn inward and go, whoa, why am I having such a reaction? What is this telling me about myself? What can I learn? And then you can grow from it. And that takes a lot less energy than trying to get somebody else to act differently. So the suits die, that was the one that's sitting under fated again. And this is showing up as the wands. So we see a wand on there. And they're associated with fire. They're for focusing and directional tools to control your will and energy. So it's the ability to fine tune your will, focus, drive, and energy. So again, very, very interesting that it shows up under fated. Because what have we seen under fated? You're working on this on your own. It's going to be challenging, but things are always changing. So don't get too stuck mentally in that. This is an opportunity to exercise your will to derive strength and energy and focus from this. What did I say before? I said, if you've placed intent, this is the way I want to grow. This is the direction. This is what I value. This is where I find meaning. Then when these things come about, instead of getting pulled all over the place, you can go, no, how is this helping me meet my aim? How is the universe, in giving me this challenging situation, helping me move toward what I placed intent to grow into? The qualities I want to develop in myself, the kind of human I want to be down the road. How is this helping me do that? And now how do I use my will to take the situation and work with it in that direction instead of getting pulled off course? All right, the summer dies. That is showing up. It's showing up under the past, and we see somebody putting something in somebody's hand. And it's the gain face. So, not gain. So it's often about earning things. It can be respect, money, friendship. So what it's saying here, and remember, in the past, we had the skull, and now we have gain. So it's saying, let the past go. It's saying what I said before, but think about what you gained in terms of experience and insight from the past. Bring that with you. Don't beat yourself up about the past. We're all doing the best we can with what we know so far. And if you've done things in the past you wish you hadn't, remember, your unconscious patterns are going to come out from behind their wall and do things you didn't expect. We're all here to become more conscious. So when that happens, look for how can I work with the pattern so it can become more conscious. So going forward, I'm making more constructive decisions. That's what you can do with the gain one, is you just go, what did I learn from that? What are the lessons that I'm carrying forward? So instead of going, I wish I wasn't like this or I hadn't done that, instead you can say, I'm grateful that because of that experience, I learned this that I am now carrying forward. That puts a much more positive spin on it and gives you more energy to actually address the changes that you want to make. Okay, the winter die is just off the mat, so we're not going to pay attention to it. The wounds die is in the future, and it's the little dude with an arrow through his head. Okay. So it's reflected a targeted, focused wound, and it's often a wound tied to cruelty. It's often something that's hard to heal from, and it's something that just sits in your head. So it calls out something that's been stuck under your skin, that's still unresolved. So remember when we talked about you're moving into the future, this to me says, whatever the situation is currently, triggers a core pattern from early childhood that if you work on it, sets you on a new path and gives you freedom. I love how this all ties together. So bear that in mind. You want to face those core patterns. You want to work on them. You want to help them come to consciousness so that you free up that energy for the growth you want to make in your life. It's not about getting rid of these parts of ourselves that are sad or angry or scared. It's about welcoming them to come to the surface, come to consciousness, so they become constructive, beautiful parts of you. And so going forward, you have more energy because as we take those parts back and we support them to become conscious, we have more insight, we make better decisions, we have more energy. Um, we don't have to keep losing energy as we get older. We can reclaim it. So you'll never hear me say, oh, I need to release that. No, I need to integrate it. I need to support it. So those parts of me stuck as early children, my early childhood stuff, can mature and become part of the adult or become happy children in me. But the whole idea is that they get to become conscious, and those patterns that have been stuck in that discomfort can start to go, oh, this is a different reality. I have different choices now. I can now use this energy in a happy, productive way. So see these challenging situations as necessary to dig this stuff up, bring it to the surface so it can become conscious and improve your life and help you have a happier, more energetic life and a more aware life. All right. So with all of that being said, I did pull a card for this spread called The Bearer of Books. And I just have to find in the book where we might have that. It's going to be really interesting. Oh, The Bearer of Boons. I'm sorry, I thought it was books. This is Boons. Obviously, it's not a font I'm familiar with. Although I would love it if it was The Bearer of Books, because I just love books. Okay, so the Bearer of Boons presides over the kindness die. So when he arrives in a reading, he speaks to a gift of goodness, a friendly hand, a shoulder to cry on, extra money you needed, kindness. So he's a positive omen of good things coming. And so when I see him being part of the whole spread, here's how I see it. Challenges ahead, some tough things to work on, lots of growth happening, but it's all toward a happier situation going forward. So do your best with the challenges you face this month to see it as the universe in its benevolence, doing its best to help you meet your goals, to benefit you by pointing out the things you need to work on so that as you work on them, life gets easier, life gets better. Our core patterns don't go away, but they do get more subtle as we work on them. So focus on going more and more into this work with an attitude of gratitude, like, wow, this is hard, but thank you, universe, for pointing out that this is the next stage in my development. Not going to worry about the stages after this, not going to worry about the past, just going to look at right now, what is this bringing up for me that I can address in this moment? And that's what you want to focus on. So thank you, everybody, for who's tuned in. If you're just tuning in now, I will post this on my Facebook and YouTube, so you'll be able to, sorry, so you'll be able to go back and watch the whole thing and see what I'm saying for this month. Unfortunately, I also have to mention that I have been cloned again on Facebook. So if somebody approaches you using my name, who's trying to befriend you, offering to do a private reading for you, it's not me. I never solicit people for readings. I trust that if you need to see me, you'll know it, you'll reach out. And I don't try to get people to be my friend in order to give them a reading. So it's unfortunate that somebody's doing that again, but I just want you to be aware it's not me. I will find some time this weekend to do my mini readings. A little bit of frog in the throat tonight because I've been talking all day, been working all day. Um, but just so you know, there's cool things happening. You can go on my website now and either buy the ebook for the book that I collaborated with other authors on, stopping your people pleasing, taking back your power. If you do want a printed copy, send me a message. I will set one aside for you. They're on their way to me now. Um, and just, if you're looking for inspiration, I've got over 90 videos, podcasts and such on my YouTube channel at Benita K. Hudson. And I've got an digital Oracle deck out that you can get through Deckable. The link's on my website. I use it all the time. It's just a great little guidance tool. They changed the app a little bit, so you'll just see the image, but there's a little button underneath that says guide. And if you click on it, it'll show you what I wrote about that image. That way you can just use the image for meditation, but you can also look at the meaning. And I've also put in a whole bunch of custom spreads that you can use with my deck. So just bear in mind those resources are available to you through my website. I am available to you through my website. I can meet you in person certain days in my office in Kelowna. I'm also happy to work with you on Zoom, wherever you might be, and I do parties. So I look forward to seeing you, hearing from you. If you've got any feedback, I'd love to hear it. And I will probably get on, if not tomorrow morning, sometime on Sunday to do free mini readings. Look for a post about it. And thanks for coming and hanging out with me and learning about February. It's going to be a challenging month, but I think we're going to come out of it really happy about the growth that we've had. So take care, everybody, and I'll see you soon.